Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Melissa with Enchanted Emerald bringing you a reading for Leo. So that's Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. And it's going to be a reading for love for August 16th through August 22nd, 2026. Out of the traditional Rider-Waite deck, we have the 10 of Swords, the Lover's card, the 4 of Swords, the Knight of Wands, and the Queen of Wands showing up. So moving into this energy, really feeling as though you have had an armor up, so to speak. I feel as though you have been feeling destroyed by your love situation. I'm feeling very crushed about it. And I feel that what comes in with that is a set of boots. I'm being shown a set of boots. I feel as though you are walking away from things, moving into new energies, but you're not going forward in a very easy, light-footed type of way. I feel it's though they are heavy steps. It is a decision that you're making with a heavy heart. It is a decision that you did not take lightly. I feel as though you're moving into this new energy with a little bit of baggage here for you. I think that you have stuck to the same methods, these old tried and true methods, and really worked really hard to try to get this situation to work out for you. And I think that in the end, you've realized that maybe this person was really allowed to walk all over you with those boots being shown, really feeling as though this person took advantage of your kindness or mistook your kindness for a weakness, and then the dynamics played out as such. And I think that it kind of set you into a little bit of a spiral. I think that this is an energy for you to embody, Leo, now moving into this new energy where you're rising above the situation. I feel as though you are going to come up with some epiphany on some level, right? You're going to have a realization, really getting tired of these patterns that keep repeating, and what you felt was tried and true. There were methods that you were sticking with because they worked. You're realizing they didn't really work so easily for you. And so this is where you are going to be bold and be courageous and really try to take a chance on yourself. I feel as though you moving into this new energy is really going to leave you in a space where you no longer need to wear a mask in this relationship or in relationships in general. And I think that this is you realizing that you shine, Leo, no matter what is going on around you. You shine. You have the ability to really captivate an audience. And I think anybody would be lucky to get to know you. And so you're realizing that that's one of the strengths that you have. It's your character, your ability to keep happiness in your social circles and really allow yourself to shine your light and to be graceful, right? And so that's something that you're working with, right? And you really got that. And so I feel as though you might be feeling a little apprehensive about this in terms of you may feel like you're moving from the shelter out into the storm, right? You don't necessarily know what's waiting for you on the other side of this. So you're moving forward with a lot of caution. I think that in the past, you might have tread very lightly within relationships or with partners or in social dynamics even. And I think that in this current time, you're realizing that you were often compromising, right? Compromising your needs, compromising your desires in order to keep this other person comfortable, to make sure that everything was status quo and that this person wouldn't stray or this person wouldn't want to walk away, right? That they weren't going to go anywhere. And I think that it wasn't always comfortable for you. I think as you moved into that energy more and more, the resentment started to grow more and more, right? Because it will grow. This resentment and bitterness will start to grow a little bit more each time you don't honor your own truth. And so that's where you were hiding behind that mask, so to speak. And now this mask is starting to come off, right? You realize that it's okay for you, it's safe for you to be who you are and to move through your life in that capacity and to trust yourself to make good decisions, right? And it's not about keeping peace, right? This is about being bold and in moving into the energy of who you really are, okay? And I think that these compromises that you made, they were not little compromises either. I feel like they were big things, right? Where you may have felt as though you were compromising your morals, but you were letting things happen despite that because you just wanted to keep the peace. You just wanted to feel comfortable, right? And to keep things moving in the same direction as they were, right? I think that even though you knew it wasn't right, you decided that you were just going to go with it. And so that's something you might have felt even growing up, where you were shown very deeply committed relationships and these dynamics that played out in them. They were obstacles that they moved through, right? They never allowed something to break them down, so to speak, and they stayed in situations. And so you might have taken that identity on as your own, feeling as though that's how relationships work. And so this is where you might feel like, you know what, compromise is like nature of the beast here. It's something that people do when they're in love. And you mistook that for representing commitment, right? And you realize that a commitment now, you realize, is a commitment is a choice that we make to work with one another, and it allows each party to maintain their values and yet still grow a strong bond in spite of that. And so this is where that 10 of Swords really comes in here. It's this realization that things can't really go on as they are, and you have to be able to let things go, to shift, to welcome in new energies. And I think that with all of this, it's almost as if you started out very quickly. I see that Knight of Wands there. It's almost as if you started out very quickly, moving into things very quickly, got caught up in the rush of everything. And now it's almost as if you had tried to retrace your steps a bit and really try to see if this is something that could be salvaged, right? With that 4 of Swords, that's a healing moment, tuning into your intuition, trying to figure it out. And so I think that when you rushed into all of this energy, right, it leaves you in a space where you can't necessarily feel your intuition as well. And so it's harder for you to see the red flags, right? Because you start to fall in seeing that person as their potential and not necessarily seeing that person for who they really are, the reality of the situation. And so it's almost as if you're untangling this big web now, right? You're stopping to really figure it out with that 4 of Swords. You're trying to wrap your mind around things. And so moving into this generational area, again, I wanted to mention, I feel as though subconsciously there was something within you that wanted to make this situation work, right? With that Lover's card, there's a lot of harmony with that. Maybe you wanted to do as your parents did or your parents' parents did, right? And it's leaving you in a space where you feel exhausted and you know that something's got to give, something's got to change. And so if this is going to be salvaged, this is something that you have to be able to work through, seeing things very clearly, right? And see it for what it is. And I think that this is where you have to have this conversation with this person, really get to the root of the problems. I think that you have to kind of take stock of things and look back and see exactly where things started to kind of crumble or things started to break down a bit. Maybe you know at the exact moment that you decided to say yes when you wanted to say no. Maybe you know the exact moment when you decided, I'm just gonna ignore this anxiety about it and just go with it, right? And so this is where that breakdown started to happen, or this dynamic started to occur. And it's hard because I feel as though there's no going back from this. There's no going back, right? I think that as you look at all of this, you might decide to have a conversation with this person. You want them to meet you in the middle. So you decide to have a long chat with them. And then in that very moment when you're having that conversation, how they handle it is your clue. It's your clue to how things are going to play out, right? And I think that this is very telling for you, because I think up until this point, maybe you were the one making all of the sacrifices, and now you're actually asking this person to meet you in the middle, asking this person, what are they sacrificing? Asking this person, not necessarily to make a sacrifice, but to make a true compromise with you, to meet you in the middle. And I think that this person has the potential to stay in a space where they really want to just break you down, right? I think that this person can minimize your feelings a bit. They might tell you that you're overreacting. They might get really loud and boisterous. There is a lot of anger with this that comes up, and I think that they could criticize you for bringing this up at all, right? Criticize you and your actions to try to take the spotlight off of them, right? To deflect. And in the whole process of it all, they're not owning their own emotions, right? And so I'm reminded here of this cowardly lion that comes in with that, right? So you could be working with another Leo. This could be another Leo that you're dealing with, but I think that it's really just attesting to their own lack of vision, right? To be able to see into the future, to have that relationship goal, right? I think that they can't really see beyond their own circumstances or issues. And so knowing this, when we talk about the cowardly lion, well, this person can't own that because they're too much in their head. They aren't courageous enough to really look at their own faults, right? And at their core wounds that they have to work through in order to be able to meet you where you're at. And so it's something that they can't even tolerate looking at, right? I feel like it makes them really uncomfortable. It might make them feel as though they want to kind of crawl out of their skin when they're being that open or that vulnerable. Or maybe they're feeling their ego gets bruised a little bit because they have to realize their own mistakes in this, and it's hard for them to do that. Now understand that reaction is not a reflection of you or their investment in this relationship. I think it's really their inability to be emotionally mature, because they can only hear you at their level. They're not even going to hear you. It's almost like you're radiating at a different frequency than them. So if you're tuned into a different channel on the radio than them, right, they can't necessarily hear what you're saying, even though you're speaking that. So this person doesn't have the emotional maturity that you have, and it's something that they can't wrap their head around even at this point. And so you know that this person, you'll come to the realization that this person can't grow with you. And so in this aspect, I mean, I do really see you walking away from this. I do feel as though talk is cheap, right? And so really moving into an energy where you're deciding to withdraw your energy from this situation. And I think that once you do, that's when your gifts kind of pop back online. And when we talk about our intuition being in tune, seeing the synchronicities around us, 1212, the angel number, that's a beautiful number, right? Really moving into this space where you're starting to see some things align for you, different opportunities showing up for you, and really embodying that. So your gifts, it's like that spark comes back on. I think being in this relationship really kind of dimmed your light, so to speak, dimmed your spark a little bit. And moving out of that energy, that flame is going to start to grow brighter and brighter and higher again, right? You're really going to start to feel more yourself and to feel good in your own energy, and spend a lot of time alone. You might find that you choose to spend some time alone for a while to really get a deeper sense of who you are, and really start to allow that to take hold in your daily routines and reflect that. And so I think that you see the truth in this. You're just going to walk away with this. I just really feel with this Queen of Wands energy. And I love the Queen of Wands. There's a lot of fiery passion that comes in with that, a lot of creativity, a creative energy, and reaching toward the light. You can see with this sunflower, right? Really reaching toward the light, and you're going to be reaching for that light more and more, and that fire is going to grow more and more, right? And so you're divinely protected throughout all of this, right? Just remember that with that little black cat. And so I think that you can realize in this Queen of Wands energy that you don't have to sacrifice anything, that it's about being loyal to who you are, and the right person will be attracted to you for that. And I think that you'll understand that it wasn't about embracing and embodying those generational timelines. It wasn't really about embodying those traditions and things that you felt the pressure to do. It wasn't a pressure from your like parental expectation. It was your own internal pressure and desire, right? You put those expectations on that, and you realize now that this is your chance to do things differently, right? This is moving into a new energy where you start to own your own energy, to own your own value, and you realize that you can't fall into those old patterns anymore because it's just not who you are, right? It doesn't resonate with you at all anymore as you move more and more into this energy. So I love that. So you're going to own your own love, own your own self-love, own the ability to co-create a beautiful love story with the universe, right? And so this is where you begin to question yourself and ask yourself what it is that you want to build going forward. And seeing that Queen of Wands just sitting there, this is claiming your throne. So I love that for you, Leo. If you have watched all the way through this reading, thank you so much to each and every one of you. I appreciate you for being here. And if you're interested in being in the know of all the new content as it's released, please don't hesitate to hit that like and subscribe. I do release new Zodiac love readings on Fridays, so be on the lookout for that. And as always, I will be back with another read for you guys again soon. Thank you so much. Take care.